So, Episode 2, Boimler gets stabbed in the junk. Episode 3, someone throws a log and it hits Ransom in the junk. Episode 4, Boimler spills hot coffee on Ransom's junk. Wow, it's as if the writers are trying to tell us something. If only they weren't being so maddeningly vague about it. Alright, so Episode 4 has the Cerritos working alongside another ship to relocate some ancient generation ship that never reached its destination because of some mysterious calamity while carrying a mummified crew and tons of science goo that can create life from inorganic material. So, I think it's like the Genesis torpedo in liquid form. Now, if you're thinking that actually sounds like an interesting idea for a Star Trek episode, you'd be right. Too bad it's not what the episode is about. What the episode is really about is the captain being so pissed off at Mariner for acting like an unprofessional twat while on duty that she tries to passive-aggressively manipulate Mariner into quitting. So the two captains are briefing the senior officers on how towing this generation ship is going to be a really complicated, delicate process, but Mariner, who's only there to hand out iPads to everybody, thinks that's super boring and won't stop yawning. The captain's really embarrassed, and the other captain is telling his crew that she doesn't have the respect of her crew, so she's had it up to here with Mariner's crap. But since they're mother and daughter, transferring her to another ship would make things really awkward at Thanksgiving dinner, I guess. But then Ransom has a great idea. Why not just assign Mariner all the shit duties on the Cerritos until she requests a transfer? That way it won't be the captain's fault. Sure, you could do that. Or you could just reprimand her for being a disrespectful, insubordinate clown like you would any other officer on the ship if they acted like Mariner does all the time. But apparently that's off the table. Perks of being the captain's daughter, I guess. So the lower decks people get their duty assignments. Boimler's psyched about getting conference room cleanup duty because the senior officers get better replicator programs, which means they get sweet and sour sauce on their tater tots or whatever, and sometimes they'll even let you eat with them. Tendi is psyched because she gets to go meditate with some dude who's trying to ascend into an energy being or something. I'm not sure how that's a job on a starship, but okay. And then Mariner has been put on shit duty. Literally cleaning shit out of the holodeck. Did you know the holodeck has a shit filter? Because that was news to me. So Tendi reports to the meditation guy who's arranging colored sand on the floor in this elaborate pattern while he tries to get all zen and shit. Tendi gets distracted by this gong thing in the corner. She knocks it off the wall. It messes up the sand that the dude had been arranging for 2 years because there's nothing psychotic about that. And now his inner calm that it took him 10 years to achieve is all messed up. This is still Star Trek I'm watching, right? Mariner has to do all the worst, most demeaning jobs on the ship, and I'm not sympathetic in the least, but she finds a way to have fun with them because overachieving is for suckers. So the captain figures, if cleaning up shit doesn't make her want to request a transfer, I'll promote her instead. That'll really piss her off. So just like that, Mariner's a lieutenant now. I'm not sure why her uniform would change color for this, but it did for some reason. Did the promotion come with a transfer to security or engineering or something? I don't know how that works. Anyway, now that she's an officer, Mariner's got all the boring jobs, like giving the ship an audit, attending a different open mic night than her usual open mic night, and playing poker with the other senior officers where the rule is that everybody folds on every hand. I couldn't tell if there was a joke in there or not, but if there was, I didn't get it. So Boimler's insanely jealous because Mariner's living his dream right now, but when he asks her how she got all this awesome responsibility and crushing workload, she doesn't know. Bad is good, maybe? She's got no idea. But this puts a thought in Boimler's head. If they like when you break the rules, then maybe he should become a rule breaker too. Turns out Boimler's idea of rule breaking is pretty tame though, so this was a bit of a tease. Tendy's following meditation guy around, suggesting ascending techniques from different cultures to try to help him get back on the horse or whatever, but all she's doing is pissing him off. I suspect he's not the only one. Then Mariner goes to see the captain, who asks if she wants to get transferred yet. She doesn't, even when the captain tells her that it's mandatory for all senior officers to listen to Commander Ransom play songs that he wrote on the acoustic guitar. And I have no idea if that's supposed to be funny or not. Is the joke that Ransom is a bad guitar player? I'm so confused. Anyway, Mariner knows what the captain's doing. She's being a dick. Over on the other ship, the other captain still has a bug up his ass about Mariner disrespecting him, so he orders the pilot to move them closer to the generation ship while they're towing it. I'm not sure what one thing has to do with the other. The Cerritos is in a better position to do whatever he's trying to do, but he doesn't care because f*** science. So his tractor beam pulls the hull plating off the generation ship, and all the Genesis torpedo goo comes flying out, and it instantly covers both ships. All this organic material starts growing everywhere, tearing the ship apart, and then Boimler puts his brilliant plan to be bad into action by bringing Ransom his coffee and accidentally spilling it on Ransom's junk. And I almost chuckled at this one because they're kind of doing that Family Guy thing where if you do the same joke over and over and over for long enough, you kind of force it to become funny. But if you have to do all this work just to get a laugh out of a nutshot, I think you're doing it wrong. So the ship's being destroyed by water and ice and rocks and coral and stuff growing all over the place. Tendy's trapped in engineering with the meditation guy. He's blaming her for everything, but she says she's glad he didn't ascend because he's a jerk, and all she wanted was for him to like her. Then some pink thing explodes right next to them for some reason, and since he thinks they're about to die, he comes clean to her. You're right, I am a jerk. I was never going to ascend, but it's just so hard to get an edge in Starfleet, and I thought ascending could be my thing. But then I went so long without ascending, and it wasn't going to work, so I used you as a cover. And Tendy is like, wait, so we both just wanted people to like us? That's amazing! From now on, you and I will be best friends! The place is filling up with water. Meditation guy thinks they're done for, but then Tendy grabs one of the pink explodey things, uses it to blow a hole in the wall, and that saves them. Then meditation guy shoves Tendy out of the way of a big falling rock, and he gets crushed by it instead. This looks pretty fatal, so he tells her to get out of here and save herself, but she refuses to leave her best friend behind. Meanwhile, Mariner and the captain are tunneling out of the rock that grew in the captain's office, and then rappelling down the waterfall in the turbo lift, and they're arguing about everything. Mariner hates that her mom treats her like a child, the captain hates that Mariner acts like a child, and Mariner calls her out for being a hypocrite because she's the one trying to trick her own daughter into quitting. Wow, and the captain was being so clever about that. However did Mariner figure this out? So they make their way to the one unaffected room on the ship, and Mariner technobabbles that if they pump science gas into the air ducts, that will instantly fix everything, and the captain is really impressed by this. I don't know why she's impressed, because this is literally the exact same thing they did to fix the problem in the pilot. So, it's not like they've never thought of this before. So the day is saved, all the Genesis torpedo goo turns into ordinary orange sludge, and the boulder pinning down meditation guy dissolves, so he's fine. Him and Tendy are amazed that they saved each other's lives, and they make out. I guess that means Tendy and Rutherford aren't a thing after all. But it seems that him saving Tendy's life was the missing piece, because then meditation guy starts to ascend after all. Unfortunately for him, turns out ascending into pure energy is horrifically painful, so he's in pure agony as this happens, and then... I have no idea what's going on. He grows 2 new sets of arms, this weird bird shape appears around him, a portal to God knows where opens up, and there's a big koala bear on the other side for some reason. Meditation guy learns the meaning of life, and then he just explodes. What the f*** just happened? Were these supposed to be jokes? And if they were, what were they in reference to? Am I missing some context here? Was this something you have to be a hardcore Trekkie to understand? And if it is, can one of you explain it to me? Because I'm completely fucking lost right now. The other ship got much more of the Genesis torpedo juice. It's pretty much so Mariner and the captain save the crew by beaming everyone to the generation ship. And if they can do that so easily, I'm wondering why they couldn't just beam all the crystal people off the ship in the last episode, but that never comes up. Afterward, the captain's proud of Mariner for saving the Cerritos, and they're almost getting along for a change. The captain even thinks Mariner being a lieutenant might actually work out. They can be an awesome mommy-daughter Star Trek team! But then, a Starfleet admiral shows up to give them both medals, and Mariner thinks it's hilarious that this admiral pronounces the word censor as censor. So hilarious, in fact, that she makes a complete jackass of herself in front of this guy, humiliates the captain yet again, and gets herself busted back down to ensign. Weird, right? I mean, I would have thought conduct unbecoming an officer like that would have gotten her a promotion to commander at least. So I'd say that Mariner acting like an unprofessional spaz finally got her punished like it should, except being demoted was exactly what she wanted, so it all worked out for her anyway, as usual. And hey, things worked out for Boimler too, because even though he's baffled that Mariner had everything he ever wanted and threw it away like she didn't give a rat's ass, she kept the senior officer access card for the good replicator programs. So now, Boimler can get real ketchup on his sloppy joes, not just that cheap imitation stuff or whatever the f***. All's well that ends well. Unless you like Star Trek, in which case you're probably wondering why you're still watching this thing. From a comedic perspective, this episode was the least frustrating of the first four in that the humor, or rather the attempts at humor, came from the story and the characters, not how can we humiliate this person just because, or glorify this person just because, or be eye-gougingly annoying just because. It still wasn't funny, but I felt like this might have been the closest an episode has come to being funny so far. The problem is, this episode seemed intentionally designed to piss off Star Trek fans because it sets up this plot that actually sounds like a good idea for a Star Trek story, but then the episode kind of ignores all that and instead focuses on the characters being petty dicks to each other, which has never really felt like it's why fans tune into any Trek show. And again, I'm just a casual Trek viewer, so this didn't irritate me as much as I'm sure it did other people, but those other people are your main audience. So if you're not catering to them, then who is this show for? Because if it's not for Star Trek fans, and it's not delivering on the comedy for people just tuning in for a laugh, then I have no idea what Lower Decks is even supposed to be. So that's 4 episodes down, and so far the best I can give Lower Decks is ambivalence and confusion. It doesn't seem like the show is getting worse, but it's not getting better either. Right now they're kind of stuck where they are, which I really doubt will be enough if they ever want to build an audience. That said, current year Star Trek seems intended to do the exact opposite, so maybe this was their plan all along. If you enjoyed this review, or if you didn't, leave me a comment. Ding that bell icon and follow me on social media to be notified when I upload new stuff. The link is down there. Give the video a thumbs up, share it around, subscribe to the channel, make sure you're still subscribed, and I'll be back with more soon. Until then, do all the YouTube things, and I'll see you next time.